Hi and welcome. In this video, we are going to be talking about the early history of what is now Great Britain. This is not intended to be an in-depth university level lecture. It is more of a general overview to help those of you studying for the Life in the UK test. It is not intended to be a replacement for the handbook that you have for the Life in the UK test. It's more of an addition to that in case having someone telling you about it is easier than reading it. However, you should still refer to the handbook for your test. This is the second in what will be a series of short videos covering different times in British history. If you missed the first one, you may wish to watch the video about the Stone Age first. If not, come with me and let's see what happened during the Bronze and Iron Ages. Here are a few of the more difficult words you will hear. Can you match the words to the meanings? Bronze is a type of metal made from a mixture of tin and gold. Trading means selling things you have made and buying things you need. Decorative means patterned. Advances are improvements or new discoveries. Garments are things you wear. Listen carefully to this part of the history and decide whether you think these statements are true or false. The Bronze Age is the period from around 2000 BCE until about 800 BCE. The bronze was probably originally introduced by people from continental Europe, although the materials for making it were available in Britain. There is evidence that the people living here were trading with the rest of Europe and possibly the Middle East, as decorative glass beads have been found which would have been made there. The bronze was used to make tools, weapons and ornaments. During this period, there were also advances made in textiles and pottery. People lived in wooden roundhouses and wore woven linen garments. They built barrows, which were probably used for religious purposes, but also for burying the dead. Here are the answers. If you found that difficult, you may wish to rewind and listen again. Otherwise, come with me and let's explore the Iron Age. Here are the most difficult words from the next section. Minting means making money out of metal. Ornate means patterned or decorated. A hill fort is a place that is built as a way to defend yourselves against an attack. Earthworks were part of the defence. Earth was dug out to create ditches and then piled high to create a barrier. Dwellings are places where people live. Conflict is fighting battles or war. Listen to this part of the history and try to choose the statements that are true. Only one of each set of 3 statements is true. The Iron Age began around 800 BCE, and at this time iron replaced bronze for the production of weapons and shields. The first coins to be minted in Britain were also produced during this period. Shields were decorated with the ornate, curvy patterns that we now recognise as Celtic design. The people living at this time are known as Celts nowadays, but at the time they did not identify themselves as one group of people, but rather as lots of smaller groups and tribes. The languages they spoke were part of the Celtic language family, which today includes Welsh, Gaelic and Cornish. During the Iron Age, over 3,000 defensive hill forts were built across the south and west of the country, across into what is now Wales and up into what is now central England. One example of a hill fort can be found at Maidenhill in Dorset, where the earthworks are still clearly visible. There is evidence of dwellings inside these hill forts, which suggests that people lived in them all year round and not just in times of conflict. But there is also evidence of houses outside the fort areas, and so we can tell that not everyone lived in the hill forts. Here is a summary of the main points. The Bronze Age is from about 2000 BCE to about 800 BCE. People made tools, weapons and ornaments from bronze. People lived in wooden roundhouses. They buried the dead in mounds called barrows. The Iron Age began around 800 BCE. People used iron for weapons and tools, and they started to make coins. The people spoke Celtic languages. They built hill forts for defence and to live in. There are the remains of a hill fort at Maidenhill in Dorset. I hope you found that useful. You may wish to listen again, but if you feel confident, look out for the next video where we'll talk about the Romans. I look forward to welcoming you back.